How's it going, guys? Cameron here, Canadian Gamer, coming at you with another video. It's been a while since I've been in front of the camera. I've been busy. Lots going on. I got my Mercedes C350 W204. I got it back yesterday. I got some body work done on it. Some cosmetic enhancements. Just some minor repairs, if you will. When I bought the car, there was just on the rear, close to the wheel well, where the bumper meets the wheel well, there was a bit of rust on both sides. So those cars are notorious for rusting in those areas. That's basically the weak spot, is where the dirt gets in between the bumper and the rear fender. So I had those quarter panels professionally repaired. So it looks really cool. So I'm going to put out another car vlog, and I'll showcase that, and I'll also showcase my 2012 GTI, which I just got back as well. I got some stuff done to that, so keep an eye out for that. I know that's not for everybody, but yeah, we won't talk about too much car related stuff here today. This is more video game related. So I wanted to just show you guys some of my recent pickups for those who may not have checked out my community tab, so you guys can see what I picked up, and then we'll just sort of have a little bit of a rant at the end of the video. Maybe just talk about, you know, if you're someone who's new to the hobby, where do you start? You know, is it too late to dive headfirst into collecting certain consoles? You know, namely the 360 and the PS3, because there's a lot of manufactured hype, shall we say, around those consoles right now. We'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. So take a sip of my wine here first. This one's for you, Kamala. Sorry, Kamala. Otherwise known as Montel's side piece. So, pickups. I went out to my local Salvation Army. They had two of these, complete in box. I couldn't believe it. $10 each. I picked up one. I don't need two. And I'm not a Star Wars fan, but this is a Clone Trooper blaster. Check this out. Like I said, never opened, complete in box, from the third-party company PowerA, which still makes products to this day. As a matter of fact, I've got, if I'm not mistaken, a PowerA controller for my Nintendo Switch. The reason why I picked this up is because I've really gotten into light gun games for the Nintendo Switch, so I thought this was really neat. And I thought, you know, gaming off the grid, if they're watching this, they might get a kick out of that. Really cool stuff. Part of me is kind of like, oh, the box is so nice, I don't want to open it, but then again, is this really going to go up in value? I don't know. But yeah, really cool stuff. Happy to pick that up. And I picked up the Order 1886. So the reason why I picked this up for the PS4, I've heard a lot of good things about this game. It seems like it's right up my alley. A story-driven single-player campaign. And, you know, when this game came out, I think some people may have dogged on it. Kind of like the new Senua's Saga game that came out for the Xbox. You know, these sort of narrative-driven, slow-paced, I don't know if it's slow-paced, but single-player games are not for everybody in the year 2024. Everybody's looking for, you know, multiplayer. Almost said Forza. The other game there, what's it called? Fortnite. And then I went into my local Value Village. Now, this is crazy to see this. You don't typically see, well, now you're starting to, but for the longest time you wouldn't really see PS4 or Xbox One games at the thrift store. If you did, they were like behind the glass cabinet. These games had to have just been put out, and I just walked in. I was the right place at the right time. I walked in, and I couldn't believe it. $5.99 a piece. Forza Horizon 2, which I did not have. I've got Forza Horizon 3, and here's Forza Horizon 4, which was recently delisted, or it's in the midst of being delisted on the Xbox marketplace. So yeah, I couldn't believe it. Forza Horizon 2 and 4. I could not freaking believe it. So I think that's it as far as pickups are concerned. I might be. Yeah, I think so. I think that's it. I picked up also, I won't really show it on camera here, but I picked up like a dish rack, like a little small black dish rack, and I've used that to put in my PS4. I've used the rack as a case for my PS4 games because the PS4 games fit perfectly on the rack. It's actually pretty cool. I'll show it in a future video. I'm still organizing the games room right now. I've got tomorrow off, so I've got some stuff to do here, and then maybe in a couple of weeks I'll do a game room tour video. I'm not big on game room tour videos. It's been a while since I've done one, so maybe I'll do that as well. So I thought I would end today's video. I thought I would end today's video. I can't even talk. I thought I would end today's video talking about, if you're a new collector, or maybe you're someone who used to play games back in the day when you were in high school or college, or maybe now you're in your mid to late 20s and you've got a little bit of money in the bank account and you're thinking about jumping back into gaming, and you want to start collecting you want to start collecting for some of those old consoles that you once had. Where would you even begin? Where would you even start? And we've talked a little bit about this before on the channel, but I thought it would be worth revisiting because there's so much talk about the Xbox 360 and the PS3 right now. So honestly, as far as jumping back into collecting is concerned, I think you've pretty much missed the boat as far as PS1 is concerned. PS2 is dirt cheap. Original Xbox is dirt cheap. Xbox 360 is dirt cheap. PS3 is dirt cheap. And then the modern consoles are dirt cheap. The problem with collecting for the PS2, the original Xbox, the 360, and the PS3 is that a lot of, not necessarily the best titles, but the niche titles are the ones that have really gone up in price. And that's what I keep talking about because, again, all these YouTubers are putting out these, act now, buy these 360 games before it's too late, the store is closing. Which, by the way, the store closing shouldn't have any bearing on actual physical releases that are out in the wild, right? It shouldn't. And these games for the I'm going off on a rant here. These games, especially for the 360 and the PS3, were mass produced. It's just when you're dealing with, like I said, the 360 and the PS3, and you're talking about some of the niche titles. One of them that I can think of off the top of my head would be Bullet Witch. I think it's called Bullet Witch for the 360. That one has gone up in price tremendously. Another one that I paid like $5 for a couple of years ago, and now it's over $100, is Splatterhouse. Apparently now that's an expensive game. So it's just like if you're collecting for the N64 or you're collecting for the NES, those consoles are not necessarily expensive to collect for. It's just if you want some of the premium titles, that's where you have to pony up the money. But yeah, if any one of you out there is watching this and you're in your late 20s and you're thinking about jumping back into gaming, if you absolutely want to do it on the cheap, I would say PS2, Xbox 360, PS3, and I wouldn't consider Xbox One and PS4 retro. It's not retro yet, but those consoles are dirt cheap. But like I keep saying, if you want, the premium titles, because I'm looking at my Xbox 360 collection as I shoot this video, and I'm looking at it. If I had to go out and buy all those games over again, I could. But some of them are ridiculously expensive. It's just like it's funny. It's like my 360 collection is comprised of a bunch of games that are probably worth $10, $15, $20. But then I've got like about 8 or 9 titles in my collection that are probably worth close to 70 or 80. And so I don't know. I anyone who's been watching my channel, I started collecting the 360 hardcore right around the time that the Xbox One and the PS4 came out, maybe a couple of years after. So I was I don't want to say smart enough to jump on it. I was just in this period of my life where I wanted to get back into collecting video games, and at that time the 360 was dirt cheap. And I remember thinking to myself, when I started collecting for the 360, I remember seeing the games being cleared out at GameStop, and I just remember thinking to myself, I'm going to jump on these now because I know years from now this is going to be a shit show. And now we're in the midst of that sort of weird bubble at the moment. So I don't plan on selling my 360 games. It took way too long to amass that collection. Same with the original Xbox. Same with the PS2. And also as well, I wanted to also mention this before we finish off today's video, seeing as we're all over the map here. I did want to sort of touch base on my collecting goals for the remainder of 2024, moving into 2025. So, like, I am at max capacity as far as room is concerned on my rack that you guys can't see for Xbox One games. I am at max capacity. I'm at max capacity for my 360 games and original Xbox, but I do have about 8 slots remaining on my shelf, my Wii shelf, for Wii games. And then again, I got my PS4 games over on a rack over here that you can't see, so I've actually made some room over here for another 10 or so PS3 games, and then I've got a rack over there for Nintendo Switch games, and it's got some room on it as well. So yeah, so for the remainder of 2024 and then moving into 2025, I can't speak for you guys, but I'd love to hear in the comments below what your collecting goals are. But for me personally, I'm going to keep chipping away at the Nintendo Wii. And that's another system that, again, the games are dirt cheap, but the ones that are really, really, really niche, or even some of the AAA titles have really gone up in price. So yeah, for me, I want to keep chipping away at the Wii collection, the Nintendo Switch while I can, the PS3 definitely, because that bubble's about to burst, and the PS4 pretty much done with the PS4, and the PS2 I'm maxed out as far as room is concerned. But yeah, PS3, Nintendo Wii, and Nintendo Switch for sure. I got so many games coming out of my ears right now. It's really hard for me to justify buying any game at full retail right now, because I'll never get around to playing it, or at least once I do get around to playing it, it won't be worth what I paid for it, or I could go out and buy a half of what it is brand new, if that makes sense. So I really just need to stop buying games and just play what I have. I keep saying that, right? But like it's just, you're as a retro enthusiast, as a collector, we're never satisfied. We're constantly, I say we because I see so many other collectors out there that do what I do. We're constantly lying to you guys in front of the camera, because we're always like, oh, I'm done with 360. I'm done collecting 360. I've said that like 100 times. And yet, every time I go out, I always see like a 360 game. Like, oh, I don't have that one. Like, I was looking at one today, Need for Speed Pro Street for the 360. I didn't pick it up. I could have. At the last second, I put it back. I'm like, no. I really can't do that. But that's it. That's it as far as my collecting goals are concerned. As far as Sega Genesis is concerned, and that's another one I didn't even talk about. But you know, if you're jumping into retro collecting, could you jump into the Sega Genesis? That's a tough one, because you're really not coming across Sega Genesis games as much anymore out in the wild or on the classifieds as much as maybe even 6 or 7 years ago. Sega Genesis is starting to really starting to ratchet up, and that's another one where I really went hardcore on that, collecting for that a couple of years ago, and I'm kind of glad that I did, because now, gosh, it would be hard to go back and collect some of those games that I have for it. But anyways, we're just sort of ranting here. I wanted to just share my off-the-cuff thoughts on, what should you collect if you're jumping back into the collecting scene in 2024? And again, what are your collecting goals moving forward? I'd love to know your thoughts down below. And I hope you guys are doing well. Again, I've got tomorrow off, so if time permits, I might put out another video. Maybe a little bit of a car vlog, like I said, showcasing, for those who are interested, what's going on with my fleet. And maybe I can tie something else into that video as well. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for me. Thanks so much for watching. Enjoy your Saturday night wherever you are. Hopefully some of you guys might be checking out the UFC fights as well. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Have a good night.